Good evening. And now that Eric N1 RV is here, Livingston Man, roll that beautiful bean footage.
Air raid siren. There can be none of that. None of it. None of it. And poof. Fucking bombs everywhere. Poof. Fucking people getting gunned down in the streets. The fucking citizens have had enough of your shit. Revolution's coming. Revolution's coming. We're fucking done. Revolution's coming. Tell us to take it on the chin. Not likely. You're gonna fucking take it on the chin. When the revolution comes, no sirens, no bells, no fucking whistles. It's just gonna fucking arrive like the morning. Better prep the fuck up. Peace.
Welcome to Hudson Valley Prepping and Survival, everybody. Eric N1 RV, Johnny Preps, Love and Life, East Tennessee Preparedness, Ghost Lincoln, Love and Life, East Tennessee Preparedness, Southern Tier Preparedness, Section 3 Survival, Samurai Viking Lumberjack, Scott Trudeau, Rural 2IC. I see everybody out there. WTC, thank you for the 5x5. Much appreciated. Winter Homestead, good evening, good evening. Hi, Abby. Good to see you. PAEMT Firefighter, good to see you, my friend. Gunslinger 67, Outlaw Jackson, what the fuck is this? This is a Hudson Valley Prepping and Survival special report. So I dropped earlier the link for the very first article that we are going to discuss here this evening. Livingston Man had a chance to dive into this today, so we are going to dive into this right now.
It's on the wrong one. Give me that.
Oh, there it is. There it is. We'll get to the other article here.
It's the one that he meant to see, you know.
Jay Creature, it's fucking might not make it Monday, buddy. Welcome aboard, Captain.
You get
Welcome
those.
Aboard.
You get those. We ain't dying, not today. We're just preparing to do so.
Yeah, we're preparing to live.
Couple days left.
That's what we're doing.
First 48, you know what I'm saying?
Hang on, I'm gonna drop this this article in the chat for you guys one more time. No notification, by the way, from YouTube about this. Not even for me, and it's my channel, so.
I sat right here on the tablet and it did not tell me that it was
F?
live, and then it didn't go live and I had to back out and I had to come back in again, probably because of all that dramatic imagery that we had in the intro there.
Yeah.
Essentially, so this particular article talks about all the Western, like NATO, coalition countries, they have plans like this. These countries are the size of states here,
or smaller than states. Even you could fit like most of Europe inside of New York State if you like reconfigure it just right,
But what this is, they're essentially it's like a report on their defense posture. Call it right.
Yeah.
It's not that they did in fact call out. I think he said in the article it was like by 2029.
Yeah, they're hoping to push all of this stuff into effect by 2029. They want
5 years. They
want to be ready for war with Russia and anybody else by 2025. And I'm sorry. What was is it 2025? No.
It's 2024 now.
Yeah. So we're talking
2029. You got 5
2029.
years.
Yeah, 5 years.
It's a 5 year plan. So this is really not that much different than like the U.S. Air Force or the United States military going before Congress and talking about modernizing the force.
Yeah.
In Eastern Europe, all right, as we're butting up into like, you got Ukraine and Russia are fighting right now. If Russia wins in Ukraine, they're at Poland's doorstep now.
Absolutely.
Now, old school Soviet thinking for war against NATO and Europe is, I believe what they called is 7 days to the Rhine. Crash through everything in your way. Poland, what at the time
just
was
run right through it.
East Germany all the way and run right up to the Rhine River in Germany and hold back. Which is what NATO still plans for these days.
Absolutely.
The terrain of that part of Europe is conducive to armored warfare. It's where most conventional war, when you hear people talk about conventional war.
Yeah, this is where it's going to go down.
Or not, because now there are these new like asymmetrical elements involved with it. Drones and cruise missiles.
Yeah.
Stuff they didn't have back in the 70s and 80s when they first started talking about how you're going to fight a new war in Europe.
Absolutely.
Reforger means return of forces to Germany.
Yeah.
Reforger was simply. I'm sorry, I went way off track here because I saw it.
Mr. Zero he threw it out there and he got me a Livingston man.
Reforger is an exercise on how to repopulate, essentially D-Day 2. How do we get mad shit back to Europe quick? Okay. They try to, like, as far as I know, once, but they do these big NATO exercises, Able Archer, and but they have weird names, and they're like,
right.
We run war games on how to do this stuff. Germany is preparing as well as any of these nations because they're going to be the first ones to physically bear the brunt of a Soviet armored column,
absolutely
thing. But know what we know now, what they said in the article too, which was a little alarming. They said that government assistance may not be forthcoming immediately because of the fact that many things will be damaged and taken offline at once. Yeah. What they're hinting at there is nukes or decapitation type strikes, massive cruise missile air assault. Everything's going to get wrecked at once. And absolutely, Poland and these nations on the path of the Russian invasion are expected to bear the brunt of tactical nuclear weapons, possibly. Yeah. Most of the fighting and devastation is going to happen to Germany
those front
and
lines.
Poland.
Yep. I think the front lines have already kind of been drawn out, and I believe they go straight through Ukraine, my friend. And now they're being drawn out up in Israel as well. It's you tinkering.
We said mic up. Yeah, people can never hear me.
Oh, gotcha.
Compared to him.
Sorry, I'm loud. But I guess my biggest question, Livingston man, is: do you? Everybody in the chat is saying it's the elephant in the room. They don't have 5 years, bro. If Russia's plan is to really bear through Ukraine and then right into Poland, they've gotten pretty far through Ukraine in the last 2 years. Do they have 5 years? I personally, I don't think so. Do you think they have 5 years to do this, or is that date that they put on there just to throw them off and say it's going to take us 5 years to do this, when in reality they're already ready for this? Are they already ready for this? Maybe not in the get the civilians ready. Maybe this is just the precursor to that, and all of the other stuff is already ironed out, perhaps.
Well, these plans have existed since 1945.
Okay, but modernized, obviously.
You hope so.
Like really hope so.
Europe has been allowed to be a little complacent with its military forces. Like in Europe, there's conscription. There is a draft. You have to, show up and do your 2 years of service, whatever. Yeah. But everybody, in that regard, has at least done this once before. Right. Another part of their warning was that the civilian population needed to be ready to take care of things itself because there wasn't going to be help right away, and that they hoped that people would work on this, a civil defense thing. The United States used to have this.
Man,
it's not taught.
Prepper Book Club, good to see you.
It's interesting to see our allies having to enact these measures in what we might call wartime posture. in the event of war with Russia, and let's say it goes nuclear, all right, again, you're talking about like tactical like nuclear strikes if it even goes that far. The whole
yeah. I think they could pull it off with conventional weapons, honestly.
at this point, without causing the extinction of the human race.
Yeah, it's got to be conventional. Otherwise, you're looking at the mutually assured destruction. And trust me, you guys don't want to be part of that live stream.
Until somebody decides, then what the hell are we holding these things for anyway?
Yeah. Susan Munzer, I think you're right. The 100,000 troops in Europe are cannon fodder. People fail to take into consideration something that a good buddy of ours pointed out today, that a lot of these countries right now politically are like at each other's throats. France just dissolved parliament because of the way the elections went. They didn't like the way the elections went. Over there, what they would consider it to be like a red wave, right, across Europe. And it doesn't agree with the sentiment and the immigration problems that they're having there as well. Because all of these displaced folks from, say, Gaza and other places like this, Palestine, they're all looking to get into Europe, right? Obviously, that's the goal, be in a Western type society, and you don't have to live in that environment anymore, right? So the wave over there is making waves, and political turmoil. I mean, it's not looking good on a lot of fronts. And then you see articles like the one that we're discussing here. It just puts it all into perspective for me that the rest of the world is arming up and preparing its citizens for potential World War III, not in the long-term future, but in the next 5 years. So I think it would behoove us as American citizens to perhaps take a note from our German friends here. And Livingston, could you bring up that article for us one more time? I want to, could you scroll down to the part where it talks about the citizens and things like that?
Hang on for the motion sickness, guys.
Yeah, sorry about that. It only lasts a minute.
Under wartime conditions, mandatory conscription into the army would be reinstated, and skilled laborers aged over 18 could be made to work certain jobs, including in bakeries and post offices, as well as being prevented from quitting their jobs. Doctors, psychologists, nurses, and vets may also be repurposed in military and civil service roles.
That's right.
Rationing would be brought in the event of dwindling food supplies. The government would stockpile food to provide citizens with one hot meal a day. Which is what, to put that in perspective, that's what inmates in jail in America get.
Yeah.
We're talking a war for an undisclosed period of time. According to the document, federal reserves would include foods like rice, pulses, and condensed milk. I don't know what a pulse is.
Yep.
Other key resources such as gasoline and oil could be rationed with coupons if they become scarce.
Yeah. Now, some of the folks who are older and remember the Korean War and things like that, they may remember rationing, gas rations and stuff back in the day. It's happened before. Here's
where I think the thing you're looking. The report adds that if war breaks out, the German population cannot count on, quote, government organized help to be provided immediately due to the possibility, quote, of damage occurring simultaneously at a large number of locations.
Yeah.
Therefore, it says, civilians must be ready to help themselves first and provide help to neighbors where and when possible.
Thank you, Livingston, man. And Eric, thank you, my friend. Could you give that a heart, Livingston, man? We need to put a heart on that. Eric, thank you so much. You got to let us know when we need to come stuff some boxes, buddy. We're ready. The moving crew is here. We brought the muscles and we're ready to help you get on the road, my friend. So you let us know when it's going down, and we're there. But it's very important, guys, that we prepare for this.
Louder for the ones in the back.
It doesn't seem like it's so.
Civilians must be ready to help themselves first, as well as provide help to neighbors where and when possible.
That's the sentiment of the night here.
Not just Mike saying it, the German government study said it.
Got it. We need to take this to
Defense
heart,
said it.
folks. It's important. It's important.
You know what you really could do, and you might be able to learn something from, although you would have to transfer what you see into like your modern day. The old civil defense movies that they would come out with, they'd show them in movie theaters.
Yeah.
Instead of trailers, you'd be like,
Yep.
the Russians are listening. What have you done today? To you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, man.
they're corny as all hell and they're straight up propaganda. Yes, but
At the same time, the message that they're purveying to you is very valid and very important.
depending on how much any of us trust science, this is also something. They said things like, what you should do is keep your property maintained.
Yep.
Don't get a bunch of trash and things to build up around your house. Keep your house a nice color white. They did a lot of tests. They made mock towns. They tried everything, and they blew up bombs right here in Nevada, on the towns, and found out what house works best, what paint job works best, what landscaping works best, where to fucking stand, how much. Everything is known about this, and none of it is being taught to us anymore because of our own complacency. My mic's not off. I'm just not mad aloud.
Oh, man. It's
Switch the polar pattern. I think that's everybody's problem.
There you go.
Check. How about now, Jeremy? The new Eric. Fuck.
It's big, man. You guys, this is serious stuff. This is things you should be stockpiling food for. You should be growing a garden until the time comes so you can ease the burden of preparedness. You know what I mean? If you can grow your own food, can your own food, it should be much easier on you to store items for a time when you might need them.
If you don't have a basement, dig a root cellar or whatever you might call it.
Absolutely.
Maybe your well is in a, what do you call that? A sunken, recessed little bunker thing.
Yeah.
Root cellar, start branch out from there. Start digging in.
You do what you got to do to preserve what you have. I think that's a big sentiment.
If you're new here,
there's tons of people with preparedness channels who can teach you how to do it properly. Yes, John, the well house, absolutely.
If you're new here, there ain't all you got to do is what you've been doing the whole time. Jeremy, I'm just gonna lean in so you can hear me, bud.
Hi, Vanessa. Thank you for stopping in tonight.
All you got to do is what you've been doing the whole time. If you're here commenting and watching this video, you've survived this whole time. Keep doing what you're doing and look for ways to improve and make it easier and use the lessons that you've learned along the way to efficientize. If efficientize is a word, it ain't. And it's not about how just because I would do it one way doesn't matter to you. You got to do it the way you got to do it.
That's right.
This whole journey is very personal, and it's about soaking up knowledge from everybody because we're all doing it a little different out here because circumstances dictate how you got to do it.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. And everybody's got different budgets, different priorities. Some of us have families and kids. Some of us are going at it alone. Maybe you don't need as much stuff because you're going at it alone. Maybe you can put a little extra away for the girl and her daughter that live next door. That's a big thing because I think the big message that people miss from that article is to prepare not only for yourself, but for your neighbors as well. Those are the folks who are going to need help immediately, right?
And you know what that also does is establish a local instant safety net that's right there.
Yeah.
It does not require outside assistance because
Correct.
they're all right there. 2, it breeds camaraderie and, dare I say, patriotism.
Yeah. Well, that's a loaded word nowadays, Livingston, man.
Maybe I shouldn't have said
my goal.
We as Americans, we equate patriotism as it's like we're the only ones that do that. But lo and behold, other people care about their countries too. I don't know if you guys ever thought of that. But it's true. There are some Germans who don't want to see Germany become Russia.
Yeah. Yeah.
They already tried that once and they didn't like it. They tore that whole wall down. Oh, y'all build the wall. Yeah, they did that once.
Yep. Yep. But the goal here has always been to help folks get better prepared, get in a preparedness mindset, and practice with your survival gear. Those are the big things that we really push here, and I think those are super important.
Call it a training exercise, but yeah, take it out the package and go learn how to use it before you
Absolutely.
have to.
Absolutely.
Bombs dropping, you don't know how to set your tent up. It's a problem.
Jericho Fox, that's what I'm talking about, my friend. I put canned goods and freeze-dried food away for my elderly neighbors. You, my friend, are a good person. Thank you so much for what you do. Some random dude, I'm saying, get prepped or get wrecked. Hey, if you're not into preparedness, listen, bread lines are a great way to meet new people.
It's really what you're going to boil down to. And again, I quote the German government, organized government help may not be readily coming. Like,
oops, sorry, Livingston.
Because at the end of the day, what war really is government versus government.
Yeah.
What their first things that are going to get wrecked and destroyed are like all the government stuff that's in your best interest.
Ooh, Johnny Prep says YouTube is censoring me again. Guys, we don't, especially the mods here, man. These guys they're cool. Freedom of speech here. You're free to say whatever you want. But if YouTube's going to censor you, man, it's totally out of our hands. Totally out of our. Could you pin that to the top for me, Livingston? Man, Jericho's comment there.
This one.
Yep. That's what we do, man. That's what we do. We don't only prepare for ourselves. We prepare for our neighbors, our family that may not be able to. Sometimes you have to prep for the unexpected folks, right? Somebody may come wandering into your neighborhood who's not a bad person, but is looking for help, and if you can offer that help and be humane in an inhumane time, hopefully that karma comes back to you, man. Hopefully it does.
Yeah, and how big or how small you choose your little world to be is also up to you.
Absolutely.
I would probably posit that the smaller your proverbial world is, like the simpler and easier you'll have it.
Absolutely.
But you may be faulted in your ignorance of the outside world by doing so. Like you kind of want a good blend of like what's you're a little bit of a finger on the pulse of the zeitgeist, you know.
Well, you try to,
without getting too worried about every single thing, because stress is a thing and anxiety is a thing, and you also got to stay sane out there and focus on what matters.
Yeah.
Which is another thing that they wish they could do is they wish they're here for us.
Oh. No, they went by too quick.
Good thing. What they wish they could do.
Oh, it was over.
One in the chat, if you noticed it, and I know you all have, is Jeremy. I'm leaning real close for you here, but information overload. You know too much. Like we all are like instantly connected to every event that happens everywhere and every person. And we got the witness on the stand. We got a statement from the dude in the street. We know everything about what just happened right now. But then you stop and think, and you're like all caught up in it. You stop and think, like, I don't give a fuck though. But they wish you would like give a fuck about everything and just be overwhelmed with everything except what you're doing. Yeah. Except what you're doing, because that's how you break a society. That's how you make them complacent. Is there's too much going on. What can I even do? And you're left hopeless. You're overloaded and anxious.
Yeah.
And simply defeated.
That's exactly what they want, Livingston.
Yeah. And you are. So you just attend to your mundane daily tasks. You never do anything but worry. That's the vibe they are trying to cultivate. It's the vibe you gotta reject, to resist actively.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, the only way to really go about it is to email, call, your congressional representatives, your state representatives. That's a big thing.
You've reached the
And
offices of D.D. Barrett. Please vote Joe Biden this November. Talk to you then.
That's another big thing, right? And that's going to lead into our next article, Livingston Man, which, hang on one second here. I got to copy this right here.
Boom, post this.
Boom. And I'm going to paste it right here in the chat as soon as it comes back online for me. Boom, boom, boom. There we go. So, New York State, in their infinite wisdom, has decided that we don't have enough gun laws on the books here in New York State, Livingston Man. That we need some more protection from gun violence. Because Lord knows most of the gun violence in New York State comes from licensed gun owners, right? Wrong. That's right. Most of the gun violence in New York State comes from illegal handguns and people who should not possess them. So, again, with their infinite wisdom, they have chosen to put together a large package of what they deem as gun safety laws.
And not to...
I'm not downplaying gun violence.
Oh, no. What I was going to say is that what I want you guys to do is that link that Mike dropped there, NewYorkSenate.gov newsroom. I want you to read that for yourselves and come on back. We're going to just fuck off for like 5 minutes while you just read that.
Yeah.
Check it out, like click through it, and because this concerns, especially if you're a New York
resident. If you live here, if you own a firearm, if you live in New York and you're thinking about owning a firearm, this will affect you. So it's very important to read what they're putting out.
I will not
and understand it.
I will not assault this live stream's dignity with showing the ridiculous text
encompassed in that. I think we should. I think we should show the folks exactly the kind of things that they put forth. I know there was a few key spots that that you looked into, Livingston Man, and this article is really. Wait a minute. Okay, this article is really about more gun restrictions.
Now,
but it's under the guise of New Yorkers Against Gun Violence, right?
Firstly, Deputy Majority Leader Michael Gianaris, I'm going to go with. All right. Making our communities safe starts with educating gun owners and limiting accessibility to weapons of violence. I feel like he just used, what else do you use? A weapon of peace? Is there such a thing? I am proud we are taking serious steps to tackle this critical issue. We must keep our communities safe and prevent guns from taking more lives, said Deputy Majority Leader Michael Gianaris. Senate Majority Leader Stuart Cousins said, gun violence has gone beyond a critical point in our nation, turning everyday places into sites of unimaginable tragedy and cutting our children's lives short. The measures we are taking today demonstrate our unwavering commitment to protecting our communities and ensuring that no parent, child, group, or person has to live in fear of gun violence. By enacting these common sense reforms, we are taking further significant steps toward creating a safer New York for all. I commend all the bill authors for their commitment to curbing gun violence and stopping needless tragedies.
Now, I can basically tell you that in the New York State Legislature, this bill is probably going to get rubber stamped.
Its components consist of
the Anti-Violence Education Program.
Sponsored by Jamal Bailey, would provide funding for school anti-violence education programs through the School Violence Prevention Grant Program.
All right.
This is DARE, but with guns.
Yeah.
We're going to show you all of them, how cool they are, how freaking awesome they are, and then beg you to not ever touch one.
Absolutely. And then the next one is the reasonable restriction on long gun open carry. The sponsor is Michael Gianaris, and it would regulate the open carry of rifles and shotguns. Now, it does say there are some exceptions to this, but if you're regulating open carry of rifles and shotguns, how can one possibly go hunting because that would be open carrying a rifle or a shotgun.
We can actually dig further into what we can actually pull up the text of these bills, but I would recommend you guys do it too because
there's a lot in here, guys. You got to read
but
this.
Some of these are ridiculous. All right, now we have a new firearms waiting period. This would establish a 10-day waiting period to purchase a firearm.
All firearms.
Any
firearm.
This
one is.
This was one I took serious offense to.
This one is the kicker, folks, right here. The voluntary firearm waiver. This is by Brian Kavanaugh, and it would establish a voluntary waiver of the right to purchase firearms, rifles, or shotguns, and require the state police to enter such waivers into the National Criminal Background Check System. This means that I cut up my rifle for safety. These are the same people who are going to go and basically forego their right to bear arms in the state of New York.
Now, I read the text of this because I was very interested in this. It's like, here is a form you can fill out to give up your rights voluntarily. I was intrigued.
Yeah.
And so what they claim is that you can then yourself revoke, once you do this to yourself.
Yeah.
It's a minimum of 21 days, and then you can revoke it. And what I said was, I bet you can't. I bet you can't. Because either one, it's going to be what makes you think that you're better now, or two, it's going to blot your permanent record forever. You try to get a job and you're like, why is it, how come you waived your gun rights for 21 days? What's up, man?
Yeah.
You fucked up.
Now, I totally understand people who are having a mental health crisis giving up their firearms for a period of time until they are in a better state.
People who are having a mental health crisis
coming back.
are having a mental health crisis and do not act rationally.
Correct.
This is pointless at best.
Correct.
Dangerous. This is like, what next? Sign here to give up your right to vote because sign here to give up your right to this. Sign here to give up your right to that.
Sign your
this from the people who are worried about saving democracy.
Well, that's what they're going to tell you. Everything is under the guise of saving democracy, Livingston, man.
We have firearm public health and safety dangers. This would ensure members of the firearm industry are responsible for such members' unreasonable conduct.
Right. So they're trying to put the legality of gun violence on the manufacturers of firearms, which they've already done in court, and they've won. Remington is out of business because of lawsuits against them. This slippery slope.
Do it to Colt and Raytheon and Boeing and everybody else that makes weapons.
So let's talk about.
You don't hold the manufacturers responsible.
If you want to talk about deaths and things like that, look no further than the pharmaceutical industry, my friend. So, therefore, they have also been held responsible.
I got something. All right.
Okay.
Now I'm telling you guys, go ahead. I don't know if you can see.
Oh yeah, you're into the Senate bill here.
Yeah. So what I wanted to do, figure out which thing I'm supposed to actually click on here. Screen's a little small, you guys. Read the article, but I'm going to tell you some truth right now. There's in their petition for amendment is written here. This is public information.
Absolutely. You can access it right on the New York State Senate website.
Click around on the website. We've dropped the links. Please do this because this affects you. Justification. Now, I'm assuming that it's required if you are going to amend an existing law that you must state a justification. The justification for the headline sentence was, in the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic, people have been, I'm going to paraphrase here, but everyone's offing themselves. And their justification is essentially that we need to curb on the
ownership of firearms.
The give up your rights thing. His justification was that our response to the COVID pandemic has made people decide to unalive themselves, and what we need to do is stop them from doing that. This is our fault, but we can still stop them now. What he tried to basically boil it down to, it never had anything to do with like we need to curb gun violence. It's like we need fucking drone workers in the office, and we cannot have them escaping this matrix because they were allowed to exercise a constitutional right. Is what I got from it.
It's a rough one, man. It's a rough one. Rip Curl Readiness. Good to see you, brother. Thank you so much for stopping in tonight.
I am not and would never advocate for self-unalivation, but
no.
What this guy said was he basically decided to blame gun violence now on COVID.
Yep. There you go. I am going to replace the pinned message with the article to the New York State Senate newsroom press release.
Just like how it looks like what the camera sees right now is all that matters. So the thing is, like, we're still blaming the long lost pandemic for all of society's problems when it was the government's response to it that actually caused these syndromes and statistics they're realizing now. Yeah. So wouldn't you know it if more government and more statistics and more studies wouldn't just be and laws wouldn't just be the cure-all for it.
What do you know? So what I take from these two articles, Livingston Man, is while the rest of the world is preparing for World War III, the state of New York is trying to get less people to own ways to protect themselves. Right? It makes logical sense, right?
One of the bill sponsors in that page, and we're going to stick with this because this is New York politics, it's public information, it's actually happening. Mm-hmm. One, it's been in assembly committee since like 2023. It's breaking news now.
Yeah, because it's getting traction. It's getting traction.
Come to find out, these fuckers have been debating it for like a year. And we're only just finding this. If you're not from New York, this is typical Albany shit.
Yeah.
Back door, like 5 guys in a room at night.
Yeah, 3 men in a room. That's how you get bills like this.
You wake up. Yeah, you wake up in the morning. You're like, shit. I got 34 felony counts. I even do that.
That's what New York will do to you, man. It's crazy. It's crazy.
We resist this, and if you are a New Yorker, especially, go to that website, read that thing,
click on it, and email these fucking representatives. If you don't agree with this, you need to do this. You need to put your name in there and click send. You're on a fucking list already. Just send the fucking email and tell them that you don't support this. If they get an overwhelming majority of people say, I don't think that this is fucking cool, man. They need an overwhelming majority of people to say this, and maybe your voices will be heard.
No, it won't. That's the best part about New York is that you can do exactly what he said. Anyway, they tell you they say shit like, "Why don't you move to Florida?" Like,
well, see, you know what happened? You know what happened was they did. Everybody did. Everybody's fucking leaving. Everybody's gone. The U-Haul trucks coming out of New York State are fucking insane.
And that's what they want.
Insane. They go everywhere, all over the country. You know where they go? They go to red states. They go to places where freedom really still lives, where you still have the right to bear arms, where you still have the right to say things without government officials knocking on your fucking door, right? That's where they go. They go to places where freedom fucking exists. Not under the thumb of more fucking tyranny.
Nope. I intend to be a 5th column, Operation Gladio. I'm gonna stay behind.
Bro, this is my home. This is my home.
Behind.
I'm not going anywhere. I'm not running away from the problems here in New York State. I'll email every one of those motherfuckers and tell them I don't agree with that. I don't agree with your standpoint. This is a constitutional violation. Well, that's taking it too far. It's
and who gets the handouts and who are all the laws in favor of and who gets all the who gets all the attention? You know why? Because you don't throw a brick.
You have to.
You conservatives.
You have to exhaust all of the methods that you could do before you get to that point.
Not when you're playing a rigged game against cheaters. You don't. You do what they do and let them be shocked when all of a sudden exactly what they do comes around. Conservatives, Republicans, libertarians, red people, whatever.
Excuse me.
See, he's allergic to my bullshit and good. What you guys got to do is get off this grind my ass slave to the system. I couldn't protest because I had to go to work. That's why progressivism, wokeism, liberalism is taking over your world, because y'all are fucking debt wage slaves who would rather labor for the man like some kind of fucking draft animal than stand up for your fucking rights. Let me ask you what the fuck the government, Elon Musk, Donald Trump, and any of these right-wing, red-blooded fucking assholes ever did for you personally, ever. Why should you care what they do and what they spend their billions of dollars on? Get treated with privilege. And there is clearly a second-tier system exists. And it's not red or blue. It's rich or poor.
It's
and
them.
Who the fuck
it's
are
them
you?
And you. It's not red and blue.
You ain't rich and you ain't big money rich. You ain't shit. Stop acting like these guys care about you. Same with you blue people, although I doubt there's very many of them here.
Well, it's...
What y'all gotta do is flex. And when I said throw a brick, I mean proverbial brick. Stop. Oh, I couldn't show up to, exercise my rights. I had to work. Do you hear what you just fucking said? Not only will I not stand up for my personal rights, but instead I'm going to use that time to serve someone else. Shut the fuck up acting like you care about freedom, but you don't even care about your own.
You know what I found really funny? I was watching live streams this weekend from the Angry Prepper. He was in Washington, D.C., at the White House. They put up another big fence around it because there was a big pro-Palestinian protest, right? And there were so many people there yelling at the White House on a Saturday or a Sunday. There's no politicians inside that house. There's nobody there. Nobody there. Yelling at a big fucking empty building trying to get a point across.
I saw this.
And nobody's there to hear it.
No.
Nobody gives a shit. That's the unfortunate part.
You're not the conservatism, the right-wing sort of thing, is paralyzed by its respect and veneration of law and order.
Yeah.
Opponents are not. You're playing a rigged game against cheaters. You can't play the same game with two different sets of rules, and you lose every time because you won't bend the rules. You won't say, fuck that, I'm going to throw a proverbial brick. You're like, I tried to, who said it? Mr. Zero. The right loses because you think the high road still matters. Look around you and tell me the high road still matters. There is no high ground anymore. There's too much litter on the battlefield. We're all standing level now.
Amen, Livingston, man. Amen. There's way too much litter on the battlefield. And, the left, the extreme of the left has no problem getting physical, destroying things, setting fire to courthouses or police buildings.
Who asked permission to protest the system?
Yet anybody right wing is deemed an extremist, right? An extremist. You have a label. They call if you are right of center, you are an MVE, a militant violent extremist. That's how they dub you, and they put that on your little file, and it makes you sound worse than you really are. When really, all you really are is really pissed off to see this system being used as a political weapon against their opponents. Because that's all I really see when you take all the fucking makeup and everything away. It's just political persecution of the opposite side. And they're using the color of law to do it. And it's fucking terrible, man. This is, they talk about democracy, but what they really want is to ultimately rule every fucking single aspect of your life. Every one of them. And they're not going to stop until they have it.
Right or left, red or blue, the goal is control.
Yes. And I think if a right-leaning politician wins, we are going to see the exact same thing that we've seen this time around, only amplified by like 10 times. Right?
Just a fucking a perpetual game of tit for tat. Like, this empire, this great American experiment, it's over.
Unfortunately,
here's the slide into authoritarianism, and this is it. More laws, more control, because these people don't know how to act. And us 500 or so people, we know better. It's nothing worse than it's nothing different than a monarchy, an aristocracy, an oligarchy. Because it's not even about merit or bloodline. It's how much fucking money you got or can get suckers to give.
How rich and powerful or influential you are. The money will take you pretty far, but your social status, the Elon Musks, the Zuckerbergs, the Bill Gates, the folks who came up and made that money and carved out a place for themselves at this table. Those are the folks that we need on our side, Livingston, man. I hate to say it, but if they need to be on the side of the people,
they're not.
Because right now, all they serve is the bureaucracy, and their rich elite friends.
They're blissfully ignorant, is what they are.
Do you think they're so rich that they just feel that that's their echelon?
I think that they can't fathom the idea of
being a common folk anymore.
No, they just it's almost not malignant or malicious. It's pure ignorance. They just don't know, and are unfortunately for most of like the people in control of our great nation, too fucking old to learn any different.
That's the trouble. Eric M1RV. Amen. Where does it go from here? You said the slide into say it. I can't say the word.
Authoritarianism.
There it is.
Lost one. Now we got the dramatic lighting right.
Bum, bum, bum.
So here's the slide into
Mike said that we were the lights flickered in his house when I said the acronym for MVE. So shit is real.
What really happened is Mike's side light over there is 50% brighter than this one, so we'll lose this one sooner than that one. So
I should
because there's the fucking Venn diagram, whatever the hell they call it, the cyclic, vicious cycle, and what you got is good men create good, hard men create good times, and then good times create soft men, and then soft men create hard times, and then hard times creates good men, yeah. And it keeps going forever. We are in the soft men creating hard times time right now. Everything's been great. We've been living a big motherfucking party. Everybody's been making big money. Everybody's been doing big work. We've all been like real busy, not worried about shit. And now all of our collective as a species and all the different countries and governments' choices are all coming to bite them. We're still living down the end of World War II. Still people mad about how that turned out. Still people mad about the way borders were drawn across things before any of us were even born. And we're the ones fighting for it. We're the ones paying for it. We're decisions made by men that died long before we were born. And here we are fighting, dying, pissed off, anxious about it. It's time to find something else to do.
Amen. Livingston, man, I say it all the time. I think our last nonviolent hope to enact real change in America is secessio plebis, my friend. I really do.
They'd show up with guns drawn, order you back to work.
Shoot me, order me back to work. Sorry, I'm just doing nothing. Just hanging out at home.
Every time
playing video games with the homies.
Every time secessio plebis was attempted, it worked. if you don't know what that is,
it's not far-fetched, man.
in ancient Rome, there was a sort of caste system. There was the big higher-ups, and then there was the people that made the everyday, your so-called essential workers. Get this, even all the way back then. And what the essential workers would do is say, nah, y'all ain't treating us good, and they would just go camp out. Back then, cities had walls.
Yeah.
They would leave the city. They would go outside the walls and just set up a fucking Burning Man out there.
Yeah.
And chill. And then when society ground to a halt, the patricians and the senatorial class, the higher ups, would come begging for them to like please make the city work again.
Yeah, we need bread, we need this, we need that, we need our dairy, we need our cheese, we need everything.
It's called a strike.
But instead of getting it.
But instead of some profiting predatory union pulling it off,
it was the people.
The people themselves who came together and said, who cared for not only themselves but their neighbors. See that?
Yeah. We keep bringing it back, man. We keep bringing it back. The first article relates to the second, and the second relates to the conversation here. If you guys are a little lost in the sauce, you might want to rewind and check the comment section. I dropped a couple links in there.
Digging the dramatic side.
It does look pretty good.
Right when you were like, tell me about authoritarianism, I was like, okay.
I think secessio plebis on a grand scale here in the United States of America, and perhaps
too many conservatives are going to work.
Listen, man, some folks are going to, some folks have to go to work.
Be so hopelessly dependent on the system that they will resist your attempts to disconnect them from
I guarantee you, shit hit the fan. There's going to be law enforcement officers who get in that patrol car and go out and drive around trying to keep the peace. They're going to be one of like 3 fucking people who decided that their job and their oath was worth more than their family. You know why I know it's 3 people? Because people like the Angry Prepper exist. That's why I know it's going to happen. There's going to be folks who are going to go to the firehouse and get on that rig despite shit hit the fan because that's their job and they feel morally obligated to help, right? There's going to be the folks that do that because they feel a moral obligation to. That is going to happen, even in a secessio plebis or a shit hit the fan, a true apocalyptic scenario, right? And they're going to rally a few other people to stay back with them and help. Maybe not even law enforcement or firefighters, maybe just an average Joe who says, what can I do? Like-minded
individuals.
Those folks will be out there.
Mr. Zero is a little bit of extreme. You fireball, ain't you, boy? I bet you me and you can hang out. You're right. And maybe the Christian eschatology folks, where my revelation people at. This is the tribulation. What Mike is describing.
That was posted in the chat earlier. That this is what I believe it was Daryl that said it. This is what the tribulation will look like, and it could very well fucking be, man.
And what they mean by that is you're gonna be put to the test. What will you do?
Robert Lenahan, I 100% agree with you. The people are so divided. Last week we didn't have a We All Gonna Die Wednesday. I decided to take a holiday with the family and we took a trip to Yankee Stadium, Livingston, Maryland. And at Yankee Stadium, I asked
him, I said, do you want me to run the live stream? He said, nah. I said, yeah, fuck him.
So I get to Yankee Stadium, and the one thing that I saw there was every class of people, from the rich who sat in their luxury boxes to us poor folks who sat in the bleachers way up top. Every race, every creed, every color, every shape, every size of people were there for one purpose: to cheer on a baseball team.
The circus.
If that many people can come together for that, small of a show, 9 innings of a couple of extremely high-paid individuals playing baseball, we have a chance. Because the one thing that we all have in common right now is we're all being squeezed almost to the breaking point by this system that we are intertwined in, right? Your dollar doesn't go as far. You need $11,000 more this year than you did last year just to pay the same bills. And ain't none of us getting fucking raises. The cost of everything's going up, and we need
Are you a worker?
change.
I am going to go out on a limb here and
say that everybody here in the chat works for a fucking living. Or at one point you did work for a living, and now you have a pension or a retirement or a nest egg that you created for yourself that you now live on, which is being squeezed as well.
How long will you be lied to and told that you're essential, but at the end of the day, your needs are the ones at the absolute bottom of the list of needs at all, if they're even on it? Well, your company, your corporation, all of them across the board post record profit after record profit after record profit, but people can't afford to live. Food pantries in America exist. Homelessness, never mind homeless veterans, homelessness in general exists in America. It would seem, have attempted to solve all of our own problems everywhere in the world except here.
Yeah.
It is a burden. It is a penalty
To do well.
to be an American citizen
and be productive.
and not be built-in privileged or rich.
Janet Neese, way to stand your ground, sister. Your health was at stake, and you made a decision that was good for you, and I commend you for it. And I hope that going forward, you will make twice the money you had at the old job.
Now, Michelle the Great, what they did is they chimed in and made you do the W-2 thing. They come right between you and your paycheck because they thought of that. They were like, what if people don't pay their taxes? They're like, let's fix that.
Yeah, we'll
And
just take it. We'll just take it.
And otherwise, your employment's not valid. You're not on the books.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
protections, no rights as a worker, practically. Freedom in America, ladies and gentlemen, involves a fuck ton of paperwork. And
There's no such thing, because even if you own land, you still have to pay taxes on it, or the government's going to come take it from you at fucking gunpoint.
And they can, if they want to build a bridge, like they're gonna. And sorry,
Yeah,
about that.
they call that eminent domain. Sorry, man. We got to put a big fucking high tension power line right through your house here so that we can run power to New York City, Livingston, man. That's what we got to do. We got to get power to New York City so you don't have a place to live anymore. And we're not in the business of building houses. All we do is put in high tension power lines. So cordially, go fuck yourself.
Peasants do not stand in the way of progress.
Amen.
What I would recommend as we come up on the 3-minute warning here is that everyone stop acting like you are, and I don't mean this in a disparaging, insulting way. I mean this in a prideful, like, stand up for yourself, throw a proverbial brick way. Stop acting like you're anything more than just a peasant and exercise that right, because all of us are the ones who make their world that we disdain and hate go around. How much are we enablers?
100% Livingston, man. We do.
You think Elon Musk's gonna build his own fucking spaceship?
You know, I have a saying around here, and I've used for a long time, is what you allow is what will continue.
I always
So,
love that one, and I use that.
The more we allow the prices to go up without wage increases, the more we allow the politicians to act reckless and pass crazy laws, the more we allow our government to send our money overseas and not take care of the country here. You know, New York State vehicle inspections, I would boycott them if I could, because the roads aren't fit to fucking drive on.
Yeah, the Constitution, guarantees you freedom of movement, but the New York State DMV says, "Nah, that's a privilege."
That's a privilege, my ninja.
That's all right. You can walk. They can't tell you They can't tell you you can't walk, but
Yeah,
give them a minute.
Yeah.
They'll decide that walking is somehow like COVID.
it's bad for you.
COVID made walking bad, and we got to
Yeah,
stop it.
it's
So
bad
that's
for
what they're doing up in Albany, bro.
Yeah. My bootleg inspections. Way to be, man. Way to be. Buck the system. Buck the system.
I'm not trying to even be like extremist or whatever. I'm not trying to. But what my thing is, I've always been an anti-conformist. I can't stand trends. I can't stand when mad people do something, and especially when the idea is stupid. Remember capri pants? I hated it. I wore them like 3 times. I was like, this is ridiculous. I'm not doing this. But they whittle away. It's a death by 1,000 cuts, and you don't so much give up your rights as they disappear without you really noticing. You get nose blind to you can't smell the bullshit no more because it's constant. It's always there. It's what they're trying to do to you with information. And at the same time, as you're bogged down with all this nonsense that you don't care about, big ticket things in the news, you're reading the headlines and stuck to it, feeling some way about it. They sitting in Congress making assed out laws that make shit stupid. And you're like, what the fuck? And you wake up and you're like, been breaking the law like since yesterday. You didn't even know it.
Yeah. It's true. And it's your duty as a citizen to know the laws, even though they're written so complicated and complex that lawyers and judges can't even figure this shit out.
They want to look down from their ivory towers and see a huddled mass uncovered in the rain begging them for the solution.
Yep.
When we don't fucking need them to offer that, and certainly not to answer that.
Amen.
And we need to start acting like it. All of us, left, right.
Yeah,
black,
it doesn't matter your standpoint.
Left, right, black, white, all you. If you are not the so-called elite, then stand with all the rest of us, because we're all the thing. And that's the big lie. They want you to think it's this one, that one, the other thing, and this box hates that one. No. There is like 300 people lording over all the rest of us, and it's about time we stop acting like that's not the case.
Amen. Cherokee Survival, to answer your question, freedom of self. Nobody is property of the state. We are all are free individuals to do and act as we feel we want to. On that note, guys, I want to thank you for being here. This is Hudson Valley Prepping and Survival, my main man, the Livingston Man, and we will catch y'all on the We All Gonna Die Wednesday. Livingston Man, hit that kill switch. We all gonna die.